All right, so you're here with us because you're on the edge of your seat about infectious diseases, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, the stuff that could cause the next pandemic.
Right. It's the stuff that keeps you up at night.
Well, get ready, because this deep dive is all about a brand new discovery. We're talking potentially rewriting how we fight the Ebola virus and maybe even some of its even deadlier relatives.
And it's a game changer. Because
Yeah.
right now, if you come down with something like, say, Ebola zaire or even Marburg,
Those are both what we call filoviruses, right?
exactly, filoviruses. So if you get one of those,
Yeah.
the treatments, the vaccines we have, they only really work on that specific strain.
So we're basically sitting ducks if a new, slightly tweaked version pops up. Is that what you're saying?
It's a little unnerving when you think about it, yeah. We're kind of vulnerable there. But that's what's so incredible about this research. It's like, what if we could target these viruses more universally?
Okay, now you've got my attention. How does
Right.
that work?
So it all starts with a tiny little part of the Ebola virus called the nucleocapsid.
Okay, gotta stop you right there. Nucleocapsid. For those of us who haven't been to medical school.
Sure, fair enough. Think of it like the engine of the virus. It's what protects the virus's genetic material.
The stuff that makes it tick, yeah.
Exactly. And it does way more than that. It's also the key to the virus replicating and spreading. And it messes with our immune system, makes it harder for our bodies to fight back.
Wow. That little thing is trouble. So basically, no nucleocapsid, no party for the virus.
You got it. Without it, it's basically dead in the water. And that's what makes this research so groundbreaking.
Okay, so lay it on me. What did they find?
They used this amazing technique called cryo-electron tomography. It let them actually see the nucleocapsid.
Hold on. Cryo? Like they froze it.
Well, kind of. It's like taking a snapshot of a tiny machine while it's still running, but inside an infected cell. Crazy, right?
That's seriously high tech. So what did they see when they zoomed in on this virus engine?
They found that the nuclear capsid, it's structured like an old telephone cord, all coiled up.
Okay, so far so good.
And here's the kicker. It's made of 3 layers, each one with its own job.
3 layers. Okay, this is getting interesting.
And the outermost layer, the one that talks to the rest of the infected cell.
Yeah.
We had no clue about it until now. Totally unknown.
So wait, we've got this coiled cord, 3 layers, and one of them is a total mystery until now. Why is it such a big deal for, like, making new drugs and treatments?
Think about it. To mess with a nucleocapsid, we need to know how it works, how those layers interact, especially that outer layer. That's where we can attack.
It's like we knew the engine was there, but now we can see the control panel, where we can actually start hitting the buttons.
Perfect analogy. Without that level of detail, we're just taking shots in the dark. This gives us a much more targeted approach.
Okay, so it's not just about Ebola anymore, right? We're talking about a whole new way of looking at how to fight all filoviruses.
You're catching on. This research, it's about creating a whole new framework.
And maybe, and this is where I might be going out on a limb here, but maybe this applies to other viruses beyond filoviruses.
Now you're thinking big picture. And it's not as far-fetched as it might sound. If this works, why couldn't we use it for other families of viruses?
Okay, now we're talking about rewriting the virology textbooks. This is huge.
It really has the potential to change everything. Imagine a world where we're not constantly playing catch-up with the next virus. Instead, we've got this whole arsenal of antivirals ready to go, targeting all these common weaknesses.
So we'd be going from defense to offense. Instead of reacting to outbreaks, we're ready for them.
Exactly. Proactively searching for those vulnerabilities we can exploit.
Which brings us back to that amazing image of scientists looking deep inside a living cell and seeing a virus in action.
And it's happening right now in labs across the world.
It's like science fiction, except it's real.
It's a testament to human ingenuity, wouldn't you say? And our determination to protect ourselves from even the tiniest enemies.
Okay, so for all our listeners out there, and me, because my mind is officially blown, what's the main takeaway here? What's important for us to know as this research unfolds?
I think the most important thing to remember is that science is about constant discovery. We're always learning new things about how these viruses operate. And with that knowledge, we're getting closer to finding ways to fight back.
And it's not just about understanding how they work, right? It's about finding ways to actually stop them.
Exactly. And that's where this whole conserved structure thing comes in. Remember how we were talking about that?
Yeah, like different models of cars, but they all have the same basic engine underneath.
Exactly. So imagine if you could find a way to disable that engine, no matter what kind of car it's in.
That's what we're hoping for with these fellow viruses, right? Find a way to target that nucleocapsid and boom, no more Ebola, no more Marburg.
You're getting it. And the best part is, scientists are already starting to look at the Marburg nucleocapsid to see if it has that same structure.
So instead of having to create a whole new vaccine or treatment for every single filovirus out there, we might be able to develop something that takes them all out. Talk about a game changer.
Right, it would completely change how we approach these viruses. No more playing catch-up every time there's a new outbreak.
We could actually be ready for them. I like the sound of that. But let's go back to that third layer of the nucleocapsid for a second, the one that was a total mystery until now. How big of a deal is it that we're finally able to see it?
Oh, it's huge, because without knowing about that outer layer, the one that interacts with the infected cell, we'd be shooting in the dark. We wouldn't know where to target our attacks.
Okay, so this is like we've got the engine, but now we can see the control panel. We can actually start flipping switches and seeing what happens.
Exactly. It's a whole new level of understanding. And that's what makes this research so groundbreaking. It gives us a roadmap for developing drugs that can actually disrupt the nucleocapsid and stop the virus in its tracks.
And the fact that this structure, this coiled cord with the three layers, is so similar across different filoviruses, that's what gives us so much hope, right? Because it means this approach could work for a whole range of viruses, not just Ebola.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe this approach of targeting conserved structures, maybe it could work for other families of viruses too. It's still early days, but the possibilities are incredible.
Okay, now you're really getting me excited. We're not just talking about a new Ebola treatment here. We're talking about potentially changing the whole game when it comes to fighting viral infections.
It's a whole new frontier in virology. Imagine a future where we're not constantly reacting to the next big viral threat, but we're equipped with a whole arsenal of antivirals that can target these shared vulnerabilities.
Talk about turning the tables. This research could really shift the balance of power in our favor.
It certainly has the potential to do so, but we have to remember, scientific progress takes time.
Of course. But this feels different. It's like we've stumbled onto something really big here, a whole new way of thinking about antiviral therapy. Speaking of big discoveries, the article mentioned two scientists specifically, Reika Watanabe, the lead researcher, and Erica Ullman-Sapphire, the senior author. They're both with the Lagella Institute for Immunology, right?
That's right. They're doing incredible work over there. I think Dr. Sapphire actually said it best in the article. She said, "This study solves several puzzles in the field."
It definitely seems that way. I mean, just the fact that we can now visualize the inner workings of a virus with this much detail, it blows my mind.
It's amazing, isn't it? This level of visualization, combined with our growing understanding of viral structures, it's giving us a whole new set of tools for developing effective therapies.
So, for those of us who are still wrapping our heads around all of this, what's the main takeaway here? What should we be paying attention to as this research continues to develop?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that we're witnessing a pivotal moment in scientific discovery.
So we're not just talking about one virus here, are we? This is bigger than just Ebola.
Way bigger. This isn't just a win for Ebola research. It's a win for how we approach all kinds of viruses.
So anyone listening who wants to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to infectious diseases, what should they be taking away from all of this? What's the big picture?
The big picture is that science is always moving forward, right? We're constantly learning, and that's what makes this so exciting.
It's like we're finally starting to crack the code of how these viruses work.
That's a great way to put it. We're not just throwing things at the wall anymore and seeing what sticks. We're actually understanding the mechanisms, the nuts and bolts.
So it's not a matter of if we'll find ways to beat these viruses, it's when.
Exactly. And this research on the Ebola nucleocapsid, it's proof that we're moving in the right direction.
I mean, for a long time, it felt like we were always on the defensive, like we were just reacting to these new viruses and outbreaks as they popped up. But this feels different.
It's a whole new ball game. We're starting to play offense.
We're not just reacting anymore. We're taking the fight to the viruses themselves. And with these tools, these incredible techniques like cryo-electron tomography, who even knows what we'll discover next?
That's what I love about this field. It's always evolving, always pushing the boundaries.
It's like we're living in a science fiction novel, except it's real life, and it's happening right now. So for everyone listening, let's just take a moment to appreciate how incredible this all is.
I'll second that. It's a testament to human curiosity, ingenuity, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge.
It just goes to show you, even the smallest things, like a tiny virus, can lead to the biggest breakthroughs.
And those breakthroughs can lead to a future where we're not living in fear of the next pandemic.
Well, on that note of optimism, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive. But for everyone listening, remember, knowledge is power. The more we learn about these viruses, the better equipped we'll be to combat them. So stay curious, my friends, and until next time, stay healthy.